It's Turbo Day! Turbo Day! So excited for this thing, guys. Like, we're about to be twin charged. I've been waiting for over a year to be able to do this and installing supporting mods and getting the car all ready for it. The only thing we haven't done is the transmission. But I have decided that a 4T80E is gonna be the way to go. And fortunately enough, they're easy to come by. However, I've gotten started a little bit installing the front power log and putting the spark plugs in because nobody really wants to see that. Power log wise, I have a video for that already. So if you want to go and see how to install power logs, I got part 1 and part 2 right there. And I'll put a link for it in my description. So let's go and get started on installing this beautiful baby girl. So we got our parts all kind of scattered all over the place, but we're ready to start installing. So I believe like probably the first thing that we're gonna end up doing is working on the piping in the back, because that's the most pain in the ass. So we're gonna start with installing our wastegate on top of our rear power log. They have a wastegate perch for that, of course. This will just bolt onto the back of your power log where your exhaust would normally come out of. Your wastegate will go on top. So let's get to doing that. But before we do that, we are going to first initially get things out of the way. So we're gonna have to remove our stock intake, airbox, cold intake, ram intake, whatever you have installed. And then also get your ABS right here. You see how it goes down and around, down this way. We need to get this and move it over, kind of fish it down this way, because it's going to be in the way of our turbo downpipe. So we need to make sure that that is moved aside, especially if you're in a Monte Carlo. I hear they're pretty much in the way. And let's start clearing things out. Unplug our MAF. Take off your stock MAF, because we don't need this anymore. Don't need that anymore. I'm gonna reuse this because we're gonna have to cut this pipe and do other things with it. All right, so here we have our wastegate. We have, of course, the wastegate side of things. We have a couple assortment of fittings, more fittings, more fittings. So now we need to assemble all of these onto our perch. So of course it would fit on just like that, but of course we need to get our clamps on and installed. Make sure you're using the correct flange here, because there's two different sizes. All right, we're gonna get our gasket. We're gonna get 2 nuts, 2 bolts, 4 washers, and we're gonna go ahead and slap this sucker on here. So we're gonna also go ahead and grab our turbo downpipe. And fish it down in there. It should roughly go in there about like that. A good note is to have the ZZP badge facing upwards. And then of course, crossover pipe, turbo mount, turbo. We're gonna go up underneath the car and now connect those 2 pipes down there. And I'll see you in a minute. All right, we got that down pipe all tucked in there, all bolted in. I was a little bit worried about my dipstick to my transmission, but I think we can probably bend it out of the way after we get everything installed, kind of see where it sits. All right, so we got our down or our rear power log and our wastegate installed. It was a really tight fit, but we're in there. Of course, this is getting in the way, so if you can remove your trans stick, possibly, you know, block it off, get rid of that stick, then, you know, you might have better fitment, but I'm gonna do my best to keep it because I like to know where my trans level is at. So we're gonna go ahead and install our crossover pipe now. All right, now in preparation of putting your crossover pipe on, make sure you put your donut on this end. Donut goes on this end. That's the end that goes back there. This, of course, is just going to flange around this and just put it on nice and snug. Of course, I can't record and do this at the same time. I don't have my camera guy today. So let me get this on and I'll get back with you. Okay, that was a task. Very, very, very tight fit. Yeah, this is in here now. Crossover pipe is in there. I suppose it's time to mount the turbo. What do you say, guys? Say we mount the turbo? Yay! All right, so it's not like on, but it's mocked up, and dude, my concern is I'm not gonna have any room for you know, intake piping. Maybe I'll find something in the future, but I mean, for now, might as well just leave it open and until I come up with a solution. This is obviously got to come out, but yeah, you get your bolts on here. You have a square gasket that goes in there. Get your bolts on. Bolts are hardware is supplied. Torque those suckers down. I got a little bit of like that orange gasket maker. Put it on there just to keep the gasket still while I put the turbo on. But let me bolt this sucker in. All right, now that we have the turbo all mounted up to our crossover pipe, it's time to connect the exhaust side or hot side of the turbo to the downpipe using said supplied clamp. Of course, it's just gonna go on like this. I would recommend having the bolt facing not straight up and down, but about like that, because you're gonna have piping that's gonna go over it. You don't wanna have to, you know, go around the piping. At least you can get up underneath it like that. So we're gonna clamp this on, the downpipe onto that. Of course, you know how these clamps work. You have a lip on one side, and it just kind of slips down in there, clamps them together, and that's that. So let me get this clamp on for you. Oh, it's looking pretty. I went ahead and did a little bit of a wrap on the pipe there. It's getting a little close to some things I don't want a hot pipe to get close to, so went ahead and wrapped it up. Got it all nice and pretty. I also put a little bit of a L-bend there. That's a little bit tight, but we're gonna come up with a solution for that later. For now, we just need to be able to get the LT1 math on there. I guess next up is gonna be some tubing there. I'm not sure that I actually have sufficient piping for that. But you know what? We just gonna have to find out. Well, here's where we're at with the piping. I took that off, decided that making this route was a little bit more important at the moment. I still need to go to the hardware store anyways and get some more clamps and stuff that'll actually fit. And of course some more elbows. Gonna need more elbows. I'm probably gonna end up cutting some of this radiator fan off. If you don't have to do that, don't do it. But I do, because of course, like I said, my LT1 styled MAF is going to have to go pre-turbo. So that means I'm gonna have to route it this way. All right, so running oil lines. So this is gonna be your feeding oil line right here. It's gonna run down here and eventually it's going to connect to your oil pressure sensor. Now, I did do a video on that. It's the video is called Massive Oil Leak. That's going to be replacing the sensor that we're going to tap into. There's another sensor that goes into the oil pan, and that's going to be your oil level sensor, and that's where your return line is going to go to. So as you can see, well, as you can maybe see, there it is. that gray hose right there is going to be our return line. Now you're just going to clamp that onto the valve down there. It wasn't as hard as it looks. It looks a little tight, but that oil level sensor is going to be directly in the oil pan. Now you're going to have to change your oil in the process, which probably isn't a bad idea. I wasn't worried about it because I know mine's clean. I didn't change it too long ago, but you're going to have to drain your oil to get that connector in there. Speaking of which, these are your connectors here. Now this is going to be your return, and then this is going to be your feed. So let's jack the car up and get to installing those. All right, so under the car, this right here, it's a little dark. That's better. This right here is going to be where your return's gonna go. So you just unscrew this. Of course, you're gonna need a wrench or something. This is a very weird, I'm sure you can see, but that's how you unclip it in there. And then these wires to keep your car from thinking that you have low oil, you'll just splice the two wires together, and that'll be that. See, that comes out like that. And that is your oil level sensor. We're gonna put that fitting in there. Here we are, we got our fitting in here. You're gonna take your gray line and you're gonna put it in there and clamp it down. I put a little bit of like RTV on there to keep it from leaking in the future. But do it, put your hose on there, clamp it down. When you run your hose, make sure it is not kinked and that it's all traveling downward, because this is of course gravity fed. Okay, when it came to this right here, I just put a little jumper wire in it. I'm not gonna do any cutting, just in case, you never know. But that's what it looks like after you're done. It just runs up straight into the turbo up there. Nice and fluid motion. But yeah, I'm gonna throw some tape on the end of this so that way it doesn't come out, and that's just how it's gonna be. That's gonna keep our oil light from coming on. Okay, and on the feeding side, this is where it gets a little complicated. That's it right there. Unplugged it already. That sensor's got to come out, and we have to put our adapter onto that, and then screw the sensor right back into it. All right, and this is just how I got it off. 27 millimeter deep socket. It fits right in there, and some little extender. Well, there it goes. All right, this is your fitting. Your serrated line is gonna go in right here, and then this is gonna go where your sensor went, and then your sensor is gonna go in here. Put a little bit of RTV on this side and on this side just to ensure that it doesn't leak. And good luck screwing this in. And here's what you got end goal wise. I would suggest having the feed line come out like that. I definitely don't want it interfering with the axle here. But yep, that's what it's gonna look like. Wasn't really too hard using the socket, of course. It's a little tight, but you got this. All right, little update. We are now working on the boost controller. So I'm gonna mount my boost controller right here. I don't need this reservoir. Typically I don't have a problem with it. But if I do, then easy to remount. So you're gonna follow the arrows on your boost controller. Of course, this one's going out. Going out is gonna go into the top, and then going in is gonna go into the bottom. But like it says in your instructions, it's gonna go out to the top and then down into a T in the bottom into the intake manifold. Now, where I'm going to put it into the intake manifold is, good question. I was thinking that T right there might not be a bad idea in replacing. Possibly, I don't know, pulling it off there and putting on a different hose. All right, so it's day 2. I I quit the video. Honestly, I can't even remember where I left off at, but I believe it was the oil lines. We ran the valve for the boost controller. We ran a boost controller valve, and then finished up our intake plumbing. So this was a bit of a nightmare. I had a 90-degree elbow coming out of here, coming out of this sleeve, and then of course we had to scale up until we got to the filter. I think that looks pretty freaking sick, yo. Especially running with no hood. I mean, direct air contact. That's gonna be great. We ended up moving our O2 sensor to its new home right there. We're going to plug that hole with the plug that they gave us. After we get our wastegate piping all installed. Now remember, this is gonna shoot flames, all right? This is gonna shoot flames out of here into this pipe. So wherever you install this pipe, make sure this end is not facing anything you don't want torched. So I'm gonna have it facing straight up, but I'm gonna cut it to like supercharger level so it's not like super tacky or anything. At least that way I know it's not torching anything under the car. Then we're gonna get all of this situated and put back together and continue running our oil feed line, of course, down in here where we talked about before. So I'm gonna get to hooking this up and figuring out how we want to cut it. All right, and we got our wastegate pipe on. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little difficult getting it on in there like that. I'm gonna reroute some of these wires a little bit, get them out of the way, make it look a little cleaner, and then start assembling everything over here: alternator, pulleys, belts, all that. Other than the battery being unplugged and not chopping this pipe yet, I think we would call this complete. I am going to install a blow-off valve on there, so don't freak out. Just in time, we're gonna get the tune going, get it running for a second without any load, and kind of get everything lubed up. I need to put more oil in it. Found a place for my boost controller. It's a little tight in here. I'm gonna wrap this pipe as well. That'd probably be a good idea if you're going this route too. Don't want to burn your plugs. However, this was a task. I'm not gonna lie, this was not easy. There's a lot of different things that had to be done that just weren't natural. This right here is also going to get plugged up. I'm going to plug that up as well. Yeah, guys, that's about it on the turbo. Looking forward to starting it up for you guys. I'm going to give it a bump. Not enough juice.
This is alive!
Should I keep going?
Yeah. Jeez.
Is there smoke supposed to be coming from the front end?
Well,
Is it like
we
fresh
got-
evidence?
Because they put
Yeah,
the oil
everything's
in it.
brand new. That's why.
Oh. It doesn't look like it's like burning oil. It looks like it's like when you put new headers and it's burning that.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, well, the
And
I'm
the
gonna
wrap
pause
too.
one.
The wrap.
Yeah, Well, it's running. I got a few leaks. I got a exhaust leak right here in this bracket. I gotta tighten that up. Obviously, you can hear one coming off of cylinder 6, and you can see the exhaust coming out. But other than that, it's running. O2 sensor downstream is not plugged in, so revving is no-go for now. But I'm gonna figure out on that, ordering an extender for that, and yeah. Well, that's part 1. Yeah, part 1. Part 2 is gonna be more on driving it, getting the feel for it, getting this thing dialed in. This project has not been easy so far. I mean, it's a lot easier than what it could be. For the most part, it's gonna be worth it. So tomorrow we're going to do some dialing in, fix that exhaust leak. I did cut my downpipe into a nice pointy teardrop. Check out my Instagram. As I'm doing things, I'm constantly uploading to Instagram. Little pictures, stuff here and there. And so far, y'all seem to like it. My Instagram is gonna be the 3800 daily, of course. So go ahead and go give me a follow over there. Look forward for part 2. And until then, drive easy.